this video, I answer the following question. My guy doesn't tell me how he feels and expects me to know. He seems to lack emotional intelligence or maturity. Can you make some suggestions for how we can deal with this type of behavior, please? Yes, I'm happy to. And as a side note, you can also stay tuned if your partner is not a guy and behaves similarly. This behavior can apply to any gender. First off, this can be really difficult and at times frustrating. The thing that makes romantic relationships emotionally intimate is talking about the things that deeply move us. If that doesn't happen, we can feel lonely although we're in a relationship. We can feel alone with our yearning for closeness that isn't answered. We can feel isolated, shut out of our partner's world. It can feel like your partner doesn't trust you or expects you to do all the emotional work by yourself. So, what can you do? I'll share some thoughts based on different scenarios of a partner not talking about their feelings. Scenario 1, enmeshment. When someone approaches emotions and relationships with a pattern of enmeshment, they don't have a clear sense of where do I begin and end, and where does my partner begin and end? What am I responsible for, and what is my partner responsible for? It's a confusing and sometimes hurtful way of being together that people usually pick up in their family of origin. For example, person A has a migraine, and person B comes home and makes a lot of noise shutting the door. Person A then shouts, "I have a migraine. Why do you always have to be so loud? You're so inconsiderate." It would have been person A's responsibility to take better care of themselves, but instead, they blamed person B and expected person B to take up that responsibility. In the unenmeshed version of this interaction, person A would have taken ownership of their own feelings and then done something to take care of them. For example, by texting person B before they come home, just to let you know, I have a migraine today and it would really help if you could be as quiet as possible so I can get some rest. Thank you. Heart emoji. When someone comes from a place of enmeshment, they expect others to sense their feelings and then adapt their behavior to that. If that doesn't happen, they can have the impression that someone intentionally crossed them. They can feel sad, angry, hurt, afraid, neglected, uncared for, and disrespected. If this is the reason your partner doesn't talk about feelings, I suggest you have a conversation about enmeshment. Tell each other what it was like in your family of origin and maybe previous partnerships. Did your parents and past partners take accountability for and ownership of their own emotions? Did they care for their feelings? Did they communicate them or not? What were the consequences? Talk about how enmeshment is ineffective and, at worst, hurtful. Talk about how you can eliminate any traces of enmeshment that may be there in your relationship. Based on this conversation, you can then gently address your partner's emotional state in the future whenever you notice that something's up but they're not talking about it or factoring it in. You can ask questions like, "You seem exhausted. Did you have a rough day?" Or, "The way you just responded gives me the impression that you're feeling irritable. Are you? Is there anything I can do for you?" Of course, don't pressure them into a conversation, but even if they don't really open up at that time, if you keep bringing feelings up, if you keep mirroring what you sense, instead of acting on it without communicating, over time your relationship dynamic will change. You can't decide what your partner will do, but you can stop guessing their feelings and then taking care of whatever you assume needs to be taken care of. You can ask them about it, ask them what they need. And over time, both of your awareness for enmeshment and feelings will increase, and it's very likely that both of you will start changing the way you interact. Scenario 2, emotional inhibition. Your partner may have a hard time talking about their feelings because they're emotionally inhibited. This means they have a hard time feeling their feelings, making room for emotions, acknowledging, accepting, and understanding feelings. They may have a rigidly calm and emotionally flat demeanor. They may avoid anything to do with emotions because it feels wrong, unimportant, or confusing to them. And if all of that or some of that applies, that is probably the reason why any conversation about feelings is so uncomfortable to them. In this case, you can initiate a conversation about emotions. Ask your partner what they think about emotions and share what you think and why you think emotions are important and valuable. Share the observations you've made and the impression you have of your partner when it comes to emotions. Let them know that you love them. Also, if they make more space for emotions they may think are weak. Let them know that you are interested in what comes up in them spontaneously and that you enjoy being silly and goofing around with them. Let them know that you love their authentic self and they don't have to hide it from you. And of course, if this is a deeper issue, your partner may need professional help working through it. Scenario 3, mistrust. Your partner may have a hard time letting their guard down, opening up, and sharing details about themselves. They may be mistrusting by default. They may feel like you would use any information they share against them, that you'll hurt or attack them if they open up. And just to be clear, these kinds of patterns come from way back. It doesn't have to have anything to do with what has happened or what is going on in your relationship. Also, these patterns are subconscious, meaning your partner most likely isn't aware of it, but if they think about it, they can recognize it in themselves if it applies. In this case, get a conversation going about where this came from. What happened in your partner's past that created a pattern of mistrust in their mind? Who misused their openness in the past? When did they learn that it's not safe to share and trust? This way, you can better understand why they sometimes hesitate, and they can learn to differentiate the past from the present so that they can stop bringing the past into the present. Scenario 4, stonewalling. Stonewalling is an unhelpful strategy of coping with conflict that means avoiding conflict. This could mean saying, I don't want to talk about it, or we'll discuss this later, but then never getting back to it. It could mean agreeing to something but not following up on it with actions, plans, or whatever is needed. It could also mean going silent in the middle of a conversation and then leaving the room or shutting on the TV. In this scenario, as a first step, it's helpful to shift your focus away from the specific topic or conflict you want to discuss and focus on how you can talk about it. You can say things like, this doesn't seem to be a good time for you. At the same time, this is really important to me. When can we talk about it? How about Sunday afternoon on a walk? What do you think? You can also encourage your partner by saying things like, I really do want to discuss this, meaning I want to hear what you think. I want to find a way to work this out together. It's important to me that we're both satisfied with the solution or compromise we come up with. These are my thoughts for now. Let me know what's going through your mind after watching this. Is there something you'd like to try? Is there a situation you encounter often that I didn't mention? Is there something that helps you and your partner communicate that you can share in the comments? Or do you have any more questions? Also, if you'd like your partner to open up more, make sure that you respond to anything they do share with empathy and not in a judgy way. You can watch my video on empathy fails to learn more about what this means. Also, consider subscribing if you're new here. If you're interested, check out my email newsletter. Till next time, take care. And I wish you lots of success with whatever you've decided to try out to increase the emotional intimacy in your relationship.